Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is another attempt, but we're going to get it this time, I promise. Thanks so much for your patience and everything. We're going to get Cara on here, and we're going to talk about what she's been up to, what how her body has changed, how her life is different from the way she's training. And so there we go. Add Cara, and she is good to go. And off we go. So we're going to be talking about Cara joining into the American Ninja Warrior and having an opportunity to be able to go train for that and try to participate, try out. And we'll talk about what some shifts were in her world around her training, her nutrition, around her mindset, which was a very important part. She spent many, many, many years in doing the endurance athlete. So she's trained half marathons, been doing long, like 70.3 Ironman distance. It's like the half Ironman. And so right now we're just waiting for her to get added in here. So let me try something here and see if I can get her added in. And then off we go. So Wi-Fi, no Wi-Fi, it's all this. All right, there we go. That has a big. All right, so adding her in, follow up with a quick text, and then off we go. Can't bring Cara on camera. Oh, she's watching. Oh, looks like we're adding. Texting her now. See if we can get her on here. My luck with Facebook Lives has been good for the most part. Definitely had a little trouble with Dana, but with Esmeralda, and here isn't working. How about rear facing? Can you do rear facing? And then we'll just, or Alexis. Can we get Alexis on and use Alexis's phone and do that? I just approved them into the group. So let's try that.
Yay, I'm here.
Yay!
But no video.
No video. I saw Alexis just hopped on.
Hey, wait a minute. I might be able to figure this out. I am an engineer after all.
You are a highly intelligent, analytical engineer. If anything, maybe I saw Alexis was hopping in, so maybe we could swap phones even.
Yeah, that'll work.
Try that.
I have him here, and I can switch to his phone.
All right, let's try that. We'll get it one of these times.
Yeah,
you might have
appreciate
to.
Everybody's patience. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Definitely. You might have to jump off with this one, and then let's see if I X you out.
I will.
Continue. All right, there we go. All right. Hi, Marilyn. All right, we're working on this. We're gonna get her on here, and off we go. So, technical difficulties are the best. Hey, yes, yay, hello, Cara. Welcome here to a Facebook Live. So thanks you so much for spending some time and going over and sharing your story. You've been a kind of a key piece of the group here and the Women's Body Breakthrough and talking about some of your story. We had your awesome video posted. I know some women have been inspired by your efforts. And so we'd love to just dive into what's been going on for you in the past. You know, I mentioned that we had trained way back in 2014 for some triathlon and stuff, and then you came to me with this opportunity, and so let's just dive in and talk about how things have changed and where your head's at, your mindset, and all this stuff. So go right ahead. Let's dive
Yeah,
in.
absolutely. So I had this crazy request. I work with the IndyCar series, and I had this crazy request, and they asked me to consider training for and competing in American Ninja Warrior. Now, this is not like anything I've ever done in my life. I do triathlons. I run, I swim, I bike. I can do these forever at a snail's pace, but I do them. So I've been having a great time doing triathlons in the past, and I had this opportunity in December, and they asked, would you be able to do this? And this is unlike anything I've ever done in my life. And I thought, I don't even know if I could do this. I don't really know. So the first thing I did was I called Brian. Now, I had worked with Brian back in 2014, and probably way back about 10 years ago before too, in general fitness stuff. So that was years ago. We were way back in lifestyle days.
Yep, yep.
So I decided I would call Brian, and I was like, hey, I have this request. This is crazy. This is totally outside the range of what I do. I don't strength train at all. Before I started this, it was swimming, biking, running, and if I wasn't doing those, it was detracting from what my goal was to swim and bike and run. And Brian had always said, hey, why don't you fit in some strength training stuff? It's going to make your running faster. I'm like, yeah, Brian, that's nice. Okay. I'm going to go do my running, because if I'm running, then I'm going to get faster at running. But regardless, I sent Brian a note and I said, hey, I don't even know if this is possible. What do you think? Here are my goals. And Brian's like, hey, let's work together. Let's work up a plan. Let's put you into a fitness plan and look at what you're eating, and just kind of a whole general lifestyle package. And I gave him some time, and he put together a pretty great plan.
Certainly. Why'd they pick you?
So they picked me because they thought I was really fit, and they liked my story. So when I talked to the people from IndyCar, they really wanted to have somebody who was a female, maybe looked different than the regular driver, and they had given me the compliment of thinking that you were really fit. And so when they said that, I thought, oh, thanks for the compliment, but I'm really not that fit. Like at that time, I said, let me look and see what I am actually capable of. Because when they asked me, I didn't really even know what at the time I would be capable of. So I went home and I was like, all right, how many push-ups can I do? How many? Brian had asked for a basic level of fitness. So I went home and I couldn't even do a real push-up. Like I could kind of do a girl push-up. Not that there's anything wrong with girl push-ups. We all have to start somewhere. And then looking at different brand strength training stuff, it was things that I wasn't really strong with. So they thought I was really fit, and I was like, I don't want to let you guys down because you think I'm really fit. So I started working out, doing a lot of the strength training stuff. It was definitely, like Brian said, a mindset shift.
Yeah. And hold on real quick. Before we jump into that, I want to lay the foundation of, that truly that run, bike, swim, like give people an idea of what that training was like. You've done it for years. Why did you do it? Some people think that you're crazy for, for doing this stuff. And, I have been an endurance athlete in my day. And so I know what like 2+ hours of training is. And some people would never consider going over an hour, 60 minutes, we're done, and stuff. So let's talk about some of the training that you had experience in the past, what mental toughness is to you, because there's a sheer amount of mental toughness in just endurance too. So let's take that. Let's go with that for a little bit.
Yeah, so if we're talking about mental toughness, triathlon, you cannot get through an Ironman. Ironman 70.3 is my distance triathlon without really being able to just suck it up and get the miles in. There's so much in positivity. You're looking at just getting yourself through the next mile and the mile after that sometimes. As far as training, my bulkiest training hours, basically 3 weeks out before the Ironman, it was about 10 hours a week. So you're spending 3-4 hours on a bike and you're out 30-minute run right afterwards. So it was really long, really intense days, a lot of bike rides that were 60 miles, runs that were 10 to 15 miles. So there's a lot of time, a lot of dedication to the miles. Through that, I actually learned a lot about how powerful my positive mindset is. So running through lots of different things like that, and biking, you learn that you just have to be positive. If you let yourself go negative, you can start to doubt yourself. You can start to get down on yourself, and it's really difficult. But if you can stay negative, and I always did triathlon, I had positive mantras. You can do this. You're an Ironman. Like really positive things that would help me get through workouts.
Right. Now, you weren't always into these crazy long half Ironmans and stuff. What was it like, how was your evolution in, because it's always an evolution. Like I started out doing 5Ks in high school, and it took me to doing a 50-miler run. That was over a course of 8 years or so. So what was like the evolution of where you started training and then like getting into this high level, and how long were you doing the half Ironmans?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And actually, let's start with how I got into running. I did some high school track where I try to avoid running at all costs. So I'll do the high jump or long jump that's like minimal running, maybe throw a shot put and discus, again, as little running as I can. Sprints, 100 is good, 200 is a lot of effort. So I was at work, and it was one of my first through years at Bridgestone, and they had the Akron Marathon team release. Somebody asked me, hey, somebody canceled last minute, can you run? It's just the 5K portion.
Yeah.
Just the 5K, 3 miles. I can't run. I am absolutely 100% not a runner. I am not. Some people are meant to run. I am not one of those. So they're like, oh, it's just 3 miles. We don't care if you walk. It's fine. You just need to go with the body. You just need to go from point A to point B. If it takes you 45 minutes, it takes you 45 minutes. Fine.
Right.
All right. I can do this. So what I did is I actually locked myself out of the house. My parents lived about 3 miles away. So I locked myself out of the house and said, Mom and Dad, I'm coming over. I don't have a way to get back to the house. And so I kind of jogged and kind of walked until I got there. And I did the 5K in it was like 32 minutes, 33 minutes, but I did it and I finished it. And then I realized, okay, if I can run 3, maybe I can run 6. And if I can run 6, maybe I can run up to a half. And then I did a couple of marathons, and I decided marathons just aren't for me. My knees have a finite amount of life in them. And I decided to cross train. That's where Ironmans came in. So, yeah.
Right. And what was the first evolution of triathlon? Was it the sprints or the Olympic, or do you go straight to the halves?
No, I started out with a sprint. There was a sprint that I had a couple of friends that were doing in Indianapolis. If you've ever been to Indianapolis, there's a canal downtown. I highly suggest you never jump in that water. But it was a really fun triathlon. I did one here at Portage Lakes in Ohio.
Yeah.
A really fantastic triathlon there. I started doing those, and I really liked it. I really liked the challenge of it. And I had one of my IndyCar drivers that I work with say, hey, Cara, you should try to do an Ironman. Ha, you're funny. An Ironman. 70.3 miles. You can do this. It's 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike, 50-mile run. I can do the running part, but the biking, But anyway, I ended up training for it, and I did it. And it took me about almost 6 hours, 5 hours and 50 minutes or so. It was great. It was a fantastic experience. Really glad I've done it. And I still play.
Yeah, awesome. So it's an evolution, right? And as you've gone through from like a 5K to working all the way up to a marathon, realizing, you know what, like that's not my cup of tea. I've ran multiple marathons myself. I ran a 50-mile run, and then I realized like I wasn't getting any faster, and like I'm very competitive when it comes to this, and I've trained my butt off, and I've ran all sorts of sideways and stuff, and I just wasn't getting any better. I'm like, you know what, like, all right, how do we mix this up? And that's where triathlon kind of intercepted in my life. It was just like, okay, like, sure, let's start biking. And then I was working at Lifestyle, so I had access to a pool, so I'd jump in the water and swim a couple days a week. And I even hired a coach myself. I find that getting a coach in any area of your life will far accelerate your process, like without a doubt. they make you do the stuff that you're just not going to do. But so I had to coach there, and then as time evolved, then I ended up again. I did solid 3 years of effort there, and I'm just well, I'm not necessarily getting any faster. And then that was about the time that I had my first son, and Levi, and you don't have any kids, so you still have a fairly freedom to your schedule. But when you have like a baby, so going out for like a 2-hour bike ride or a run or something is just, it's very challenging. So that's where like CrossFit entered my life. And then I ended up getting totally caught up in that. I opened 2 CrossFit gyms, and but the point is that I'm making is that there's been evolution, and there's been progress, and there's been you just seeking out what is a new challenge. And this is where like the American Ninja Warrior kind of steps in. So you spend a significant amount of time in the endurance land. What is this strength training? Like I've been talked about and approached by like me for you to do it in the past. And I was also that same mindset of it's like, well, I'm going to keep running. but let's talk about like what the evolution was like to the point of like you just really contemplating like, let's try this. Like, why not? Because oftentimes most people will not like try new things. They stay stuck in their everyday habits, or they're scared to get in the gym and lift. Like I know somebody was a little intimidated, but go ahead.
All right, so this is funny because my husband had always been like, "Oh, you should have a day or 2 of lifting a week," and I'd be like, "Oh, that's cute, but I want to get the miles in." So I don't know what. I think it's part of the competitive nature in me, and part of like me wanting to make sure I do a great job for my own personal job and for IndyCar. But having somebody ask me to do this is not anything I ever would have considered doing in my life.
Right.
I never considered that I would be able to do anything like this. It's so far out. When you're not a runner, you don't think you can run. And even when you run a little bit, you don't think you can do a marathon. When you think you can do a marathon, you don't think you can do a triathlon.
Right.
And somebody approached me about American Ninja Warrior, I was like, well, what can it hurt? So right. I'm not going to say I can't do it. That's not going to enter my vocabulary, but I'm going to say I'll try. So we'll see what it is. We'll see how to see if this is even anything that I can do. And I have learned so much about myself and about my own capabilities. It was really interesting. I started doing this training, and Brian has me on a great strength training plan, great periodization in the workouts, and a lot more protein than I've ever eaten in my life. I feel like I'm always eating all the time, more protein. But when I'm doing these workouts, it's really interesting because my husband started taking video footage of me trying some of these obstacles. And something that was absolutely amazing to me, I could look at the footage of the video and I could see at the exact moment I'd given up. And this was before I could complete the obstacle. There is one thing that we were trying to do. It's called the Devil's Staircase. And it's basically like the backside of the staircase that you would climb up like this. So you're climbing up the staircase backwards, and I get to the obstacle and I look at it and I was like, I can't do a pull-up yet, so I won't be able to do this. And my wonderful husband Alexis looks at me and says, if you say you can't do it, you're not going to be able to do it. Just do it. And I the first day that we tried this, I was like, I will try it, but I really can't do it. And it's really interesting because my I will try it was so half-baked. It's trying it. So I did it, and of course, I told you I couldn't do it. And then we went back the very next week. And the only difference between the week before and that next week is that when we were doing our pull-ups, I had been able to do my first pull-up. In my life, I've never been able to do a pull-up from a dead hang all the way up to a pull-up and down. I'd never been able to do that. So I had this sense of confidence. I really wasn't that much stronger than I was the week before. I had just been able to do a pull-up. And so we get to this obstacle, and what do? I throw myself up. I'm using my body weight. I'm doing things that I probably could have done the week before, but because I had decided I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it. And looking at the video of this first one, I'll have to upload this video so you guys can see where I didn't commit. And then
Right.
the second time, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this. And I was able to climb up 3 or 4 stairs. So going from the, okay, let me just try it. So I guess the really important point about this is something that I never in a million years considered I would even try, let alone be able to do. I'm such a perfectionist and I've held myself to such a high standard. But if somebody like me who has zero strength training ability couldn't even do a push up, let alone a pull up, it wasn't even in my vocabulary to be able to do something like this. If I can do this, you can do it too. I promise.
Right, right. Commitment.
Ah,
That's a word that you came up with here, and commitment to your. Let's go back to like commitment in the marathon or half marathon when you're running. Commitment to the 70.3 half Ironman you did, and then the commitment to the American Ninja Warrior and all the tasks it is. Maybe let's talk about like key points in those different areas, from running a long distance to doing the triathlon to doing it completely different, and what you feel in reflection, like what that meant to you in those times. Because commitment, honestly, like there's something that I need to commit to, and I'm obviously haven't 100% committed to it because it hasn't happened yet. And as soon as I can just like get this going, then it's going to happen. And I'm like, oh, why did it take so long? Well, Brian, why don't you just commit? you know,
yeah.
so.
So it's both commitment and commitment with a plan. You can
Mm-hmm.
commit to a goal that is maybe unreachable if you don't have a plan or a path to get there. But the act of, you can have all the plan in the world, and if you don't have the commitment, it's not going to work either. So the path, the goal, and the commitment have to go hand in hand. And nobody is ever going to do a marathon by saying, maybe I can do this, or maybe I can't, unless you're a somehow wonderfully naturally gifted athlete, and you can just go out one day
Right.
and run.
Right, I agree. It's
Yeah,
far fetched. There's a lot of
yeah.
work that goes into it.
So like this and like everything else, you have to be committed. And this was commitment from the moment I woke up in the morning to the moment I went to sleep. So it was commitment to drink enough water. It was commitment to eat enough protein. It was commitment to pay attention to everything I was eating. It was commitment to cutting back on alcohol. Not that I drank a lot of alcohol, but I limited it to one day a week. So it was commitment to getting up and doing that workout in the morning, even though I was exhausted. It was commitment to giving myself a break when I needed to get a break, making sure I had a day off. Commitment to a day off when you're super, super active is really important too.
Yes.
Commitment to getting sleep, and commitment to keeping everything in balance. So I was really lucky. My husband's been super supportive, and so he's been going to the gym with me. He's been working out with me, so that's been super helpful. So commitment is huge, and commitment is not just I've decided I committed. It is every moment of every day. It's sometimes it's commitment. I commit to things 27 times in the middle of a workout. Sometimes for me, every rep is a commitment. Sometimes it's, it would just be easier to give up on this workout. There was a one workout in particular that I was getting down on myself. I was so frustrated because I wasn't lifting the weights that I was lifting before. And my husband said, no, you're doing a good job. And I got so frustrated, I actually went to the locker room and I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. So I talked to Alexis and I actually text messaged Brian from the locker room. I'm like, I don't feel good about this. I don't have this. And it was just, get it back out there. Even if you can't do it, just do what you can. Just do what you can do today. So it's funny you say commitment, and it seems like it's just one thing that you just decide to do, but it's not. It's
Right.
every day doing something more.
Right. I completely agree with that. Right now, my commitment to myself that I have to really dive deep into is my mindset, my positive attitude. I'm in general a happy-go-lucky person, and I like to just just be like smile all day long. But like, there's just been a couple things that have been going on, like my tax bill. I'm not gonna lie, my tax bill came, and I kind of deflated my sales quite a bit. And I'm like, oh, awesome. I was kind of a grouch for like 2 weeks, and like people noticed. They noticed. Like afterwards, I would talk to them like, yeah, I'm doing better now, and they're like, yeah, you were reflection when I can look back now and be like, yeah, I can see how like my commitment to my own positive energy and myself and my outgoingness and all this stuff was negative, was not there. And that's something that's been on my mind for me personally, has just been committing to just a positive attitude, because that it goes such a long way in this life that we live. It's the energy. This world is all about energy, and so that is good. And I'm glad you say like it's like 27 times in a workout. Like I know exactly what that's like. I know you get to that workout and you get to that point, you're like, oh man, I'm just toast, and you're like, welp. You know, I said I was going to do it, and so you finish through with it. Like, or even like you talked about how being tired. You know, you brought in some extra work. You're like, Brian, I want to do more, and so I'm like, okay, like, and that was and that was excellent feedback too for me as a coach, like to push you in the right direction, the right way, that you can you can do more, and you wanted to do more, so we gave you more. And we gave you a bunch of optional stuff too, but there's the commitment. So like even to like say like grip strength, like I know I'd ask you to like you get in your car and just start squeezing when you're driving, you know, like just, and that in itself would be a huge commitment, right? That'd be because we needed to build grip strength quickly, and you can't just like carry your purse around or your phone and get the strength to hold your body. So like it was this daily commitment to getting on the bar and holding, even though your fingers are like probably like on the fingertips. And you're like, I can't hold anymore. And you try and regrip and then you slide through and stuff. And so so yeah, it was just commitment. So let's talk about the nutrition a little bit. So you talked about how I had you eating all the food. So let's quantify that a little bit, because people probably think I was like gorging you or something, but let's kind of talk about what that is, and then also let's talk about the effect that the training and the nutrition had on the physical body. So
yeah. So when I have worked out in the past, whether it's run or whether it's strength training, and I don't have enough food, I mean, I used to work out with Brian, again, this is back 10 years ago when we were trying to do some strength and calisthenics, and I would just like bend over and exhausted, and I'd like just out of energy. I just can't do this. And running, you can kind of push yourself through some of that. You just slow down your pace and keep going.
right.
But I was
Right.
finding through so many different things, I just didn't have energy. So Brian set this ridiculous goal for me of 130 grams of protein a day. And I thought,
So ridiculous.
so it was ridiculous. So if a little bit of background on me.
Real quick, yeah.
I
Quantify
can't
that,
eat-
because
yeah. So I can't just have a big piece of chicken or a big piece of fish and get my protein that way. So I have to be really creative about how I'm eating it. I'm doing a lot of protein shakes. I'm back to eating eggs because eggs are such an easy protein source. So it does really feel like I'm eating all the time. I mean, I'm not eating junk because I understand what I put into my body is what I get out in performance. And it's so clear. If I have a day where I don't eat well, or if I have a day where I'm not hydrating, I feel it the next day. Brian has me doing these great, we call them 5x5. So every week or every 10 days or so, you're doing a exercise to see how much you've grown over the week. And
in terms of strength.
In terms of strength, absolutely. So, something like push-ups and a bench press. And even last week, we did these, and my weights for the bench press went down to 95 pounds. And I was really getting hard on myself. And my husband points out, hey, you didn't have your protein today, and you didn't drink a lot of water, and you didn't get a lot of sleep. And I was looking at all of those and saying, okay, you're absolutely right. I didn't have that amount of water because I was traveling, and it's really hard when you travel because you don't want to use the restroom on an airplane. Am I right?
Right.
He had just pointed out that, yes, you are weaker this week, but look at why you're weaker. There are reasons why you're weaker this week. So doesn't have anything to do with how you've been working out, but it has everything to do with how you've been eating.
Right.
It does seem like I'm eating food a lot and eating all of the time, because in order to get that protein, you just have to work hard to get it in, whether it's protein shakes. Brian's idea of coffee and protein powder is great. I love the yogurt and protein powder, yogurt and chocolate protein powder. If you close your eyes just right, it kind of seems like you're eating brownie batter. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of stretching it on that, but it is good. It is a nice treat.
Right. So in general, 130 grams is not a lot of protein. That's an appropriate amount. Definitely over 100 is necessary. To quantify that number, if I had asked Cara to eat 200 grams of protein, that would have been a lot of protein for her to eat, okay? So just to get anyone to listen to this.
For me,
but right, exactly. And I'm glad you pointed out because it's all relative. 95% of women are under eating their protein. If they actually track their protein, it'd be like 60 or 80 grams of protein a day, which is like abysmal, to be honest. Like it is bare bones requirements of the body is like 50 grams. And so like, if you're eating 60 regularly, no wonder like you're not getting stronger. No wonder your body isn't growing or changing or adapting because you're just like basically starving in terms of like protein, but you might be overeating in calories, the wrong calories and stuff. So yeah, I was just wanted to point that out. And then in terms of overall food, we were playing around with that a lot. You are a little more, you're an engineer, so you love numbers. And so that was actually an easy process to do, kind of manipulate. But the whole goal was what? Eat as much food as we can get you to eat while still getting the results that you want. What happened with your body as a result of both the training that we shifted towards with a lot of the strength-based stuff, which we, just so that people know that we still did some endurance stuff. I knew that endurance is important for Cara, and I knew that she probably was going to shift back into running and triathlon type mode afterwards. So it was something that I took very conscious awareness and make sure we programmed it in for not only recovery days from your lifting, but to make sure that like you still felt the water in the pool and you still had some saddle time on the bike, so that or running, you felt the speed in your feet when you ran, so that when you got back to it, we hadn't taken 10, 15 weeks off of that, and then you're just kind of starting back at zero. Like, great, you're strong, but now you're slow again. So we definitely took into account. So let's talk about how the body shifted from the shift in training. So how it was with the endurance stuff to how it is with adding in the weights and focusing on eating more protein.
So a couple things. The shift in the body, but I'll also talk about the shift in running and what I've been able to do there. So I might share the pictures with the group here if you guys ask nicely. So if you ladies ask nicely, I'll show before and after pictures. There wasn't much change in the overall number on the scale. However, the body composition changed dramatically. It was enough where I changed at least one, maybe two pant sizes, and people that saw me at work were like, whoa, how much weight have you lost? And I loved being able to say, I haven't lost any weight. This is all redistribution of muscle. But I had so many people coming up to me. Man,
you did so many compliments.
Yeah, I had a lot of compliments, and a lot of people were just like, man, you look fit. Like I had one lady that I work with, an engineer. She's amazing. She came up to me. She's like, don't take this the wrong way, but you look ripped. I was like, thank you. I'll take that. So, I mean, it wasn't getting big or huge, but like super muscle definition and just really, really strong. Right. I felt very strong. I'm a tire engineer.
Hold on. Let's do a quick time out there. So we did have you lifting a lot more, right? And you didn't get big and bulky, right?
No.
Okay, excellent. So, we got to share your picture from Carrie.
Yeah, I will. I'm pretty good. You like my forearm?
Yeah, nice. And your bicep, right?
My bicep, yep.
Yeah. Oh, there's the bump. But that, let's kind of check into that. That is a very kind of taboo thing for women, is to get big and bulky when they work out. And there's 3 ground principles to getting, growing your body to build muscle. So one is the calories to support the effort. Okay, so you need to have a calorie surplus. Okay. Number 2 is the training to support it. So you actually have to get to the gym and work your butt off. Your body isn't, they joke about it in natural bodybuilding, but it's like watching grass grow. It's not the easiest thing to get your body to put muscle on, okay? And so, like, you have to have a significant amount of effort in the training, and very specific training to get more muscular. And then last up is testosterone. That really helps out a lot, and women in general don't have that. So those are the three ways that you can get bigger and bulkier and more muscular, but chances are, like, you're not going to support it. Like, if we wanted to get more muscle on you, we would have had to you eating like 2,500, 3,000 calories, and that would have made a significant difference in the amount of lean muscle mass we were able to put on your body. That's not the goal, because you can't hang and hold on if we're adding 10 pounds. Like, so we just want to do a quick caveat there. I don't know if you remember which way you're going with your conversation, but you can jump back in if you remember.
Yeah, sure. The other point about getting stronger, so not only is it the muscle mass, the composition, how your clothes fit, how people see you, but the one thing that I noticed that I was really surprised about is Brian had cut my running back to one and a half runs per week, and I call it a half run because I'm used to going out and running for 2 hours, and some of his runs were like 15 minutes of running, and I'm like, you can't. I mean, 15 minutes of running, I want to get stronger, I want to get faster, I don't want to lose my endurance. But I went out and I just ran a random 5K at a place I was at for work. And I ran probably my best 5K time in like 5 years. And I work out of the Indianapolis in the month of May, and I did my little 3.5 mile loop. I did it in 28 minutes. It was like, this is way faster than anything that I've done. So here's me like, no, I don't want to do strength training because I'm going to get slower. But sure enough, you do the right things and you do the high intensity stuff and you build up your core. That's actually the other thing I wanted to talk about is the core. A lot of ab work that I did, and a lot of just, you can't make one muscle stronger without making your core stronger. I've had chronic back pain. So my life, I had an injury when I was in college. I lifted something really heavy the wrong way. I had a ski accident a while ago. So between those things, I've had just a lot of back pain. When I keep my core very strong, when I'm doing all these ab work and doing all the things that I need to be doing, my pain level is almost non-existent. I may have a day where I have a bit of pain. But it's so much better. Like, keeping that core strong builds that structure, and that structure keeps you from leaning on those vertebrae and on the discs and pinching things. So it builds the structure and less pain.
Yeah, totally. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, that was something that we programmed around, was the low back, and making sure that we were doing things that would still build strength without putting the back at risk. And so I was very pleased with the amount of progress we were able to make without getting hurt. That was an important thing. Even the shoulder issue that we had from the ski incident, like, those were things that we kept in mind and mobilized and really worked to keep open and loose, so that, we didn't have this. Anytime you get injured, you take step backs and you have to take time off. You have to shift things, and we quite frankly, we didn't have time to be able to do that. So it was definitely there's some consciousness in the programming around that to make sure that we're doing that. And so, like, transference. So talking about how the exercise benefited, getting stronger benefited sprinting or excuse me, just endurance in general. So, like, you just run faster now. And some of the things is that, like, the strong is the new skinny. Like, that is such a real thing that, like, women should be, like, encouraged to go after, to be stronger. Like, I want to make you stronger because then you're more capable. You can do more things. You can do basic things that you weren't able to do, like simple household things around your house or your daily life that you're like, holy cow, like, I can't believe I do this. And I love when, what was that?
I said picking my nephew up.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, maybe before you were, like, kind of hesitant or scared to do that because of fear of hurting your back. And so just that's another opportunity that you're able to experience more life and more living, because you're not living in fear from that stuff. So I'm really happy about that. So speaking of the core And the combination of all of it, the programming and the exercise and the nutrition stuff, what happened to the course specifically? How does it look right now?
I was really excited. I was in the hotel, and I was just getting ready for a workout, or just finished up with a workout, and I walked and I looked in front of the mirror, and I was like, holy crap, those are abs. I have abs. So I was all excited to take a picture. I'm like, look, I have abs. I think I've had them there, but they've just either been covered or they haven't been they're very defined. But I got really excited and took a picture of my abs that I have.
Yeah. You shared it, and I was like, oh, this is so awesome. And I asked you, when was the last time you had abs?
Yeah, maybe high school.
Maybe high school. Do you want to share? Do you want to share how old you are now?
39.
39. So turning 40, and she has abs. First time since high school. So I talked to someone earlier today, and they're like, well, I'm getting older, so like I guess naturally I should be putting on weight and just dying or whatever,
And let nature take its course.
Right. Just slowly, crawl to the grave. So, real super brief. I worked with this lady, Betsy Finley from Lifestyles, and I started working with her around the age of 55. And we did just basic strength training, conditioning, and like every week we just try to push her a little bit more. We weren't doing anything crazy. And, she ultimately became a CrossFit World Champion. She went to the CrossFit Games 3 times under my watch, and she won, she got second, and got 8th. And it was just wild and crazy. So at the age of between 60 and 63, she had just this expansion of her physical capacity. And so the lady could deadlift 250 pounds, do multiple rope climbs, multiple pull-ups, multiple push-ups. Like, she had a little 4-pack going on, and she was awesome. And she was just the nicest, most humble person around. But the point is like, she got strong, and she just kept getting stronger and stronger. And she never worked out before the age of 50. And so that's what makes it even more remarkable. In a 12-year span, she became a world champion, which is just mind-blowing. So we got some abs now. Let's talk about what future Cara looks like. So you've spent a significant amount of time in endurance land. What does future Cara look like now that you've been exposed? You've had a very pleasurable experience with strength training and the results of it. What does it look like for you nowadays?
Yeah, so this is the interesting thing. When I found out about the Ninja Warrior, I was all in. I trained really hard, and then when I found out that they wanted me to maybe work out towards next year, I decided, okay, I can do that. What I'm going to do is put everything back into perspective. Maybe I'm not going to work out 5 or 6 days a week. Maybe I'm going to work out 4 or 5 days per week. I still love the swimming, the biking, and the running, but I've realized the gains that I've gotten from strength training. So the great thing about working out with Brian here is really to put together a plan, and it's not just for the 4 months that I work with Brian. It's more like, all right, here's the time I work with Brian, and here's what I'm going to do going forward. So one of the best things that I did my last visit with Brian is, we did some training, but we just kind of mapped out, all right, what does the future look like? How do we get to the point where once I pick this up at the end of the year, I'm going to be ready to go. So for me, I'm all about setting goals. So for me, I knew that at this time next year, I want to make sure I haven't lost any strength, and I've gained grip strength and hanging strength. So put together a plan of what I want to do as far as keeping the strength training in, increasing the hanging, the pull-ups. I want to get to the point where right now I can do 4 pull-ups. I want to get to the point where I can do 10 pull-ups without a problem. So it's the making sure I know what my goals are and I just stick to them. So I will do strength training the rest of my life.
Yes, that's fantastic. It just had a very positive effect on you, and it's gonna continue to hold your shape of the body. You're gonna be toned. The more muscle you have on your body, the the more calories you burn,
Yeah.
so you can essentially eat more. We even talked about that. I was like, Cara, I think you need to start eating more food too, as well to help, because we did a little bit of trying to do some cutting of body fat, but then we started reversing the calories and started trying to add more in and stuff, and gave you clear instructions on how to do that and how to implement that into your day. Along with the programming, how to do that, how to make sense of it, so that when you went in the gym, you knew how to go about it. Talk about like your first few experiences in the gym, like how you felt when you started lifting weights, and how that was.
Well, I felt super out of place. In my mind, it seemed to me, and it's not true, this is just the power of your mind, the way it can play tricks on you. But it seemed to me that everybody there was looking at me saying I shouldn't be there. I just was really intimidated when I went to do things like bench pressing. I was really intimidated on even asking to use the bench press. I just thought it was, you get a picture of the gym of a bunch of meatheads, like, I'm gonna lift all this weight and crush some bare cans. But it turns out everybody's there to help. Yeah, there are a few exceptions that are not so fun, but in general, you get in, you're doing the work, and people respect you for doing the work. So when I started out, I was nervous about doing the work on weight equipment. I'm just really lucky, in my case, my husband was there to get rid of some of the nerves. He's like, no, it's good. We just go, we just work out. Going by myself the first couple of times was pretty intimidating. But then I realized that there was no reason to be intimidated. And I love it now. Like when I go to the gym, I have other young ladies going, I wish I could do what you could do. And to me, that's a huge compliment. I was doing pull-ups on a bar. I had a lady comment, and then I was just doing like hanging knee raises. And I had a young lady come up, how do you do those? How do you do those without swinging? So I was able to share some of my experiences with her. And the other thing I realized is when I started out going, I would see this lady that was at the gym, and she was super toned and fit, and she was doing pull-ups, and I was like, oh man, you are amazing. Like, I see you doing pull-ups. That is amazing. And now I'm the one that's doing pull-ups. So in that kind of nature, I think it's pretty cool.
Right. What was some of the coaching around that? Well, how did I coach you around the intimidation at the gym?
Yeah,
Do you remember?
I think Brian, you just basically told me to go in. Everybody's there to improve themselves. They're working on themselves. They're not worried about you. So.
Right, certainly. And what about like just claiming your spot, right? Just show up, get in there. You might look, like, hey, guess what, everybody? Like, how many times did you fail to walk? How many times you fall flat on your face? But now, guess what? You can walk. Or, how much effort did it take for you to drive a car? Far more complicated than you going to lift some weight or figure out some machine, right? You're driving this thing down the road, right? And so, just own it. Just go in there, fake it till you make it. Act like you know what you're doing. And then guess what? Like, chances are it only took you like 2 times to be like, oh, okay, I got it. Like, I don't know why this was so like over the top, intimidating me and stuff. So cool. Thanks for sharing that. And so many people can get wrapped up in that, especially women. They're like, oh, I'm intimidated going there. So we'll just go in there and claim. I remember Amber, I was talking with her. I'm like, she was going to Planet Fitness. And I'm like, hey, there's no lunks in there, right? They got the lunk alarm. That's a judgment-free zone. Like, you can't go wrong at Planet Fitness to go in and lift some weights, okay? So get in there and do it and stuff. And so she's coming around on that as well and stuff. So anything else you want to share, like some of your just experience or like words of wisdom you can pass on, or like how important the coaching process has been for you? Whatever comes to mind, and we'll start wrapping this up because you shared some really good things, and I appreciate you for sharing those.
Yeah, I think just a couple of closing remarks that I can think of. Again, if I can do this, like I keep saying, if I can do this, you can do it too. There are crazy things in my life that have had people say, you can't do this. There's not, it's. I know there are certain people that can do things like this, and maybe you're not one of them. Maybe you're just a runner. But to be able to decide for yourself what your own limits are. Of course, you have limits of your health and things that may be out of your control. But when you impose limits on yourself, then you can't do things. Just like me when I was trying to climb up that ladder backward. As soon as I decide I can't do it, I am putting my own limits on myself that didn't exist, and it doesn't exist naturally. So if you can avoid putting limits on yourself, that's really good. And we talked about commitment. Commitment is huge. Being able to dedicate yourself to something and dedicating yourself to the next thing, whether it's the next rep or the next set or the next moment or the next protein shake. You're committing to that and you're going to do it. And then what I said earlier, a commitment without a plan is no good. When I did the triathlon training, I had a plan put together by a coach. I followed that to the letter. And because I did that, I was able to do really well in the triathlon. If I were to put this together by myself, I'm a smart girl. My husband's a smart guy. Putting this together by myself, even with him, we may not have been able to come up with the exact right things to build the strength as quickly as we needed. Going to an expert, this is why I ask my husband in all these weight training questions, am I doing this right? Because he knows. So having that person and having somebody to be able to set up a plan for you is huge. Sometimes it's easier to just follow a plan. I'm good at setting plans, but until I know what I'm doing, like now I know how to set up a strength plan for a few weeks, but until I knew exactly what I was doing, I couldn't do it on my own. So having somebody in your corner, not just setting up a plan for you, but being there if you're in the locker room and thinking, I can't do this anymore. I'm not strong. I'm not lifting what I have done before. More than a million times, my husband has said, you know, this is okay. You're lifting what you can lift today, and that's a huge thing. If I get too caught up in the numbers, Brian knows. He asked me how my 5x5s were going. I sent him a graph. I thought this was normal. Apparently, this is an engineer thing, I guess. But if I get too caught up in the numbers and I'm not going in exactly the direction or exactly the speed I'm at, I tend to get negative. But my husband's been great at saying, no, you know, you're at where you're at. And having a coach, having someone in or having a support network is huge. If you can get your family interested, or if you can build up friends, this women's network that Brian's put together is fantastic. The Women's Body Breakthrough, find a friend or two in here. Great for accountability, great for just sharing what your day is like. Those are all really good.
Right. A common thing in my world is bring the data, not the drama.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
It's so easy to take. I've been dealing with a lot of numbers, and I'm just like, oh, and I have to just look at the numbers for what they are. They're telling me a story of what's happening. I can get all dramatic about it, but you know, it's my reaction to the numbers. So, same thing with that. It's like, oh, I'm not lifting more, or like whatever. Like here's just like where you're at, and if you take the big picture, like you're getting better. So yeah. So awesome. Like, I appreciate you taking some time today and sharing with the women some of your story about where you were at, what things you've accomplished with yourself, and how the progress has been from going crazy, from locking yourself out of your house to go force yourself to run. That's commitment, right?
Yeah.
To building up into crazy endurance land, which maybe someone on here is just like, that's insane, but like it was just progression over time. And even where you're at now is just an evolution of Cara of, okay, I understand and totally see and value how strength training can be incorporated into my program, and I know how to do it now. I know how to program it, I know how it fits in, I know how to design it for myself, because those are things that we've talked about, right? And we work through. So and to be honest, anyone watching this and coming across this stuff, you can do it too. Like, it's a simple commitment to change, and then it's just consistent action to follow that initial commitment up. That's it. That's the process.
One other thing I just forgot to mention is way back in the day, talking about all of the wonderful things that my husband's done. Well, my husband at one point worked with Brian at Akron General Lifestyle.
Yep.
That connection.
Yep. Yep, yep. So he knows what exercise is and how to do it and everything too. So yeah. So like awesome. Like thank you so much for spending time and sharing, and thank you for your hard effort because it's just you're just another person that just created a happy client that has like just you shared for like an hour. I don't even know how long. It's been a long time. But you just shared about like how things have gone for you and how the progression has gone over time. And so and ultimately like I just want to help people. I just want them to realize what their potential is, how they can shift and grow and adapt and change. And I think I'm pretty damn good at it. So yeah. Um that's it. That's it on me. Do you have anything else?
No, thanks everybody for watching. If you have any
Yeah.
questions, shout out.
Yeah, definitely hit her up, and if you're looking for a change, you're sick and tired of feeling where you're at. You've had unwanted weight on you. Your clothing's going up, your confidence is going down, your energy is just not even. It's abysmal from where you need it to be. The vision of yourself is just not exciting. Like you're not living an exciting life. Like those are things that I can help with. Those are things that I can start coming up with a plan of action that will allow you to shift towards your new you and live with excitement and passion and energy and all that stuff. So reach out and let me know how I can help you. So, all right, Cara, thank you so much. Thanks for everyone who joined us live. And thank you for, there it is, American Ninja Warrior. All right, Cara, thank you so much. And we will
Bye.
talk soon. Bye.